Welcome viewer, this is Education Matters. My name is Kama Mbugwa. You are watching us on Elimu TV where we watch and learn. I have the pleasure of having a guest with me who happens to be Mr. Joel Macharia, the Country Director, Compassion International. Most welcome, Mr. Macharia.
Thank you.
I'm honored to have you here.
Thank you, Mitchell. It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please tell me who Mr. Macharia is and who is Compassionate International.
All right. My name is Joel Macharia, and as my host has said, I'm the country director for Compassion International. Yes.
Thank you. Please tell us more about Compassion International. What does it do? How is it in Kenya? What is a list of successes?
Okay. So Compassion International is a holistic children and youth development organization that started way back in 1952 in Korea. During the war, there were so many children who were orphaned by that war. And a gentleman by the name from USA by the name of Reverend Everett Swanson saw the plight of a lot of those children who were orphaned by war. And he began to raise that awareness among his friends, and they began to raise money and actually do programs to take care of those children who were orphaned by the war. And many years down the line, Compassion came to Kenya in 1980. So this is about this being 2016, this is about 36 years down the line. And Compassion currently is taking care of 107,000 children and youth, way from very small babies to university students. And as I said earlier, Compassion is a holistic children and youth development program. So the people who get registered in our program are those from economically disadvantaged homes. Basically those who are earning below 200 shillings, the families earning below 200 shillings are the ones that become eligible to our programs. And we, in partnership with local churches in various communities, we then get to identify those who meet a certain criteria for selection, basically socioeconomic status, and they get registered in the sponsorship program. So on one side, we connect them with a sponsor who then, in addition to providing the money that is needed, they also act as part of the village, part of the community of the people that are helping to shape the lives of these young people and children. Mm-hmm. So that's what Compassion does in Kenya.
Okay, that's very fine. Yeah. Now I have this question. I need to understand the Compassion a little bit more. When you say holistic education, when you say one sponsor, what do you mean?
So what happens is, because by holistic we mean, like for instance, when you look at our education system, the focus tends to a lot more be on education, mm-hmm. that's cognitive, mm-hmm. And academic. Mm-hmm.
But passing exams, grades.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
That's an important aspect in life, but you need a lot more for a person to develop in a wholesome way, mm-hmm. to be a complete individual. Yes. They need to be developed in all other areas. So our programs are designed to take care of other areas, like for instance, character development and character formation and development. Mm-hmm. How to relate with other, with different people in the environment. Mm-hmm. Being able to relate well with the environment, being able to relate well with other people, mm-hmm. having the right concept of self, mm-hmm. Being able to have healthy relationships, mm-hmm. not exploitative, mm-hmm. But healthy relationships.
Are you talking about values?
So it's values is part of it. Mm-hmm. Values is part of it. So we basically talk about healthy relationship with yourself, mm-hmm. as an individual, mm-hmm. with other people, mm-hmm. family and other people, your friends and all other people in that community. Mm-hmm. Creation or the physical environment. Mm-hmm. Taking care of the physical environment, because that's part of having a person who is well developed, mm-hmm. and also being able to relate with God. Mm-hmm. That's part of the relationship realm.
And the parents.
So there is we also look at part of the holism. Also, you look at different individuals. We are endowed with different things, like what the renowned educationist Professor Gardner will say. We have multiple intelligences.
Yes.
So what we seek to do is to identify the various intelligences. So some people may be very gifted, like say for instance in areas of academic for sure.
Yes.
The others who are more gifted in areas like say sports or performing arts or music and things like that. So we are able to help these young people identify what they are gifted in and give them a platform to be able to practice that, including with a mentor.
Now, considering that you are the people who benefit from you, the beneficiary, I imagine I go to ordinary schools. What time do you have, or when do you actually get to tap out those talents? What time do you get to impart the values? Because I understand how you expect they go through the normal curriculum that every other person in a public school in Kenya will undertake.
So the values aspect of it is, okay, in school, we want you to go to school because it's a very important thing. Going through formal schooling, it's very important. So we'll support you with scholarship, and that may include fees, depending on the need. That include fees and education supplies, like sometimes it will be stationery, desks, and other school supplies, and textbooks and all that. And what we do is that in partnership with the local church, we, on the weekend and when schools are closed, we then have opportunities to be able to work more with these young people and children and young people. So they look at various things, including working with these young people. So that we have a curriculum and we have tutors, then we'll go through various things, including like life skills, if it's talents and different things, if it's taking care of the environment. At the same time, we acknowledge that whereas we have a program, values and character and things like this are not just, you cannot do them in a program where we'll just give content and information. It's really happening in relationships and being able to see that model at home. So we work also with the parents, including parental education and different things like those. So it's really embedded in the community, like the African saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So they have to see this really in the community. Yes.
Well, that's very nice. In this program, we'll certainly be looking at the connection between ethics and education as a prelude to a forthcoming event which we're going to talk about in a few minutes' time.
Yes.
Where we're talking about ethical readers, Nimeamua who are ethical.
Yes.
So we'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll now go into the matter of ethics and ethical leadership. Thank you, viewer. Don't go away. I have my guest here, Mr. Joel Macharia, who is leading us in this talk show where we're talking about the role of ethics and education. Thank you. Welcome back. This is Edo TV. You're watching Education Matters. I'm your host, Kamau Mbugua, and my guest, Mr. Joel Macharia, Country Director, Compassion International. We left it at the element of values in education. Bwana Macharia, I would like you to guide us in as far as what is ethics and ethical leadership according to you.
There are many ways you can define ethics, but for me, on a day-to-day basis, I think of ethics as being honest. And otherwise, you could use having integrity in everything you do, and be consistent in doing what is right.
Thank you. In our show today, we are trying to look for the connection between ethics and education. And you are here because of courtesy of Element, which is preparing to do a launch of Nimeamua Kuwa Ethical, of which you are supposed to be one of the key speakers in that function. Would you give me a brief of the interaction that you have had with Elnet and this campaign that is coming up on September 17th?
So I became aware of LNet, I think somewhere in 2009, 2010 timeline. And I was attracted to LNet, because of the values they hold and the association, the kind of people that associate with them. So I got attracted to that. And I said I would want to be part of this, but initially I was a bit skeptical. So I started attending some of their forum as an observer, just to associate on the sideline.
To gauge,
and just to really know who are these people. Do they actually, is it just another organization that say one thing and does the other? So, and the closer I got to LNet, I realized, wow, these are people that have integrity, that what you see is what you get.
It's true.
And I like that. It's simple, straightforward. What you see is what you get. And so I said I would want to associate with this. I made a decision to associate with them from that time. So I've been associated with LNet, and I actually became a member since somewhere in 2011.
2011.
Yes.
In 2014, you awarded the LNet Erico Markov, I think Markov Erics. But tell us about that. What did it entail?
So it's an assessment based on, I believe, is it 14 or 15 statements? I forget the number exactly. So they look at, these are statements that have been really debated and looked at for quite some time, and many people didn't think that it can actually be practiced in this country. So they are statements for the individual, and they are similar, and they are ethical statements also, that really regards the organization that you lead, whether it's a business or not that. Then some people went through that and were being told about it. And I was a bit hesitant because whereas I think I don't have anything to hide, but it is something scary about
being put
on the microscope and you're under observation. So I was a bit hesitant. Then at some point I said, okay, what do I have to fear? If anything, I think feedback is a gift that I should look at, good or bad. So the idea is not so much to fail or to pass, but the idea is to really know at least how do people perceive you. And then you get that feedback so that you then can improve or work on certain things, because we have blind spots. You may be thinking yourself this way, but other people perceive you in another way.
Correct.
So, but that was helpful to what I really appreciated is not so much the award based on meeting certain threshold. I think 80%, both for my organization, the organization I work for and I run, and as an individual. But what I appreciated most is just the gift of that feedback, and that you can have some kind of a baseline. So you begin to work towards certain direction or certain things. I was actually as an individual, I was actually more keen on the lower points, not so much where people perceived and rated me higher or rated the organization higher, but really other areas where I really need to pull up my socks a little.
Would you say that going through that exercise was a learning, a growth opportunity?
Yes, it's one of those, I think I see learning from Gallup. I've done Gallup assessment in terms of personality profile, and one of my top ones is learner. I'm a learner. I like to learn. And learning is not just acquisition of knowledge, but it's a change of behavior as a result of exposure to new information. So that has been very instrumental. That has been very helpful because there are a number of things in which we learn. One is content, just being exposed to new content, new information. The other one is through key relationships. So having someone who is better than you at something. Like if you are playing an instrument, it is so much easier to, when you are relating and learning for someone who you know, who plays that even better than you. So it sort of give you a bar to aspire to and to work towards, a target to work towards. And the other one is unique experiences. So for me, this LNet assessment for Markov Ethic was more of a unique experience. So it was a very important learning point.
Right. So we then look at the element of the role of the school in education and churches in imparting ethical values.
Yes.
Very fast, would you say what's happening there? Something is happening? I mean, are schools and churches or the education that we're taking our children through, are we serving the purpose of imparting values so that we produce ethical members of the society? In one, just comment so that we take another break and we come back.
So very briefly, values, in my view, are neither good or bad. They can be good or bad. So we'll pass values, whether they are good or bad, depending on the environment that we are in. And values are caught, in my view, they are caught. It's part of the character formation building blocks. It's caught it's not so much taught. It's not so much what you tell people. It's like if you're smoking, and telling people not to smoke. They are, I think we learn by mimicking. So people learn by observing what other people are doing.
Okay, fine. Here we take a break from here. When we come back, we look at the role of digital or the globalization of the society and its effects on ethics and ethical leadership. Keep tuned, watch and learn. Welcome back. This is Education Matters, where we are talking about ethics and education. My guest on the show is Mr. Joel Macharia, the Country Director, Compassion International. We left it off at the role of school, or the role of education, and the churches in imparting ethical values. Please summarize on that as we move on to something else.
So I think all these are important institutions to really pass on. And in this case, I would say good values, not bad ones, but good values. And the way that is done is by modeling, by people actually seeing it done. Then then other young people can copy that. To what extent is happening is changing and it's different. But in my view, the most important institution, the most important place where good values are formed is in the home. Yes.
Very good. Now we are looking at the prelude of this Nimemua Kwediko, of which you are keynote speaker, and we are expecting to engage during that September 17th with 3,000 young leaders, having the age bracket between 9 and 27 years. I think most of these guys are to be found in primary schools, high schools, universities. What exactly do you want to share with them through this exercise? It's a kickoff. But what are the 1, 2, 3 things that you wish they would really acquire from that exercise and grow for the whole, for as long as this program runs?
In my mind, I'm personally invited to speak and to be part of this, so I'm not a key organizer. But in my mind, my understanding of it is, one, we want to be able to again tell the young people that it is important and it is a good thing to be ethical. It is good for me as an individual, it is good for my family, it's good for my community, it's good for Kenya, it's good for the world. And number two, we keep hearing, we are bombarded, and young people are bombarded with a lot of, whether it's in mainstream media, social media, and different social interactions. People are really being bombarded with negative stories that it's actually ethical people no longer have vanished from the earth, or it's an endangered species. And that's not true. I know many people that who are ethical. I think in a very simple way, news thrive on what is newsworthy is what is odd, what is rare. If then an ethical thing is so widespread, and it is widespread in society, but if it's the only thing that exists, then what should be making news then? It's a good people. Because then it is the odd.
The odd one out.
They are the odd one out. So I personally believe that there are very many people who are up to good and who mean well and who are honest and who are good. So it's really pointing to the fact that there are ethical people out there, they have not vanished from the face of the earth, and that you will not be alone in this.
Now, as a leader in your own capacity, occupying that national office by being a country director, do you think the society out there into which we are kind of introducing these young leaders is helpful? Is it modeling ethics?
I would say yes and no. I would say it's a mixed bag, because in my view, I think the home is the most formative place for forming and shaping ethics and developing them. And it can also win the individual, because if I don't see that modeled by my parents or my caregivers or the people in my immediate family, then I'm socialized that way. I'm socialized to be unethical, I'm socialized to be dishonest, and all that. But if then that happens at the home, and then I go to school or other institutions in the community, schools, churches, and other faith communities, then and that is either reinforced, so it can be reinforced. So it lines up very well if it happens at the home, and then it's reinforced in the school and other institutions that I interact with on a day-to-day basis. But then there are contradictions that comes, and I've seen this a lot with young people, where maybe it's at home this is not what I see, but when I go to the community institutions like the church and faith communities and the school, then I get mixed messages. It's very confusing. So I would hope that we start right at home, and then we keep reinforcing that with other institutions and other individuals and other actors in the community where the child is growing up.
Very good. Yes. And then I also want us to look at the element of the emergence of the digital, the so-called corporate community. What do you think, how is it affecting the socialization of the youth in as far as, again, ethics and ethical leadership is concerned?
So as a parent, I have 3 children who are, one is 10, 8, and 4. Sorry, and I also get to interact and interface with parents, and in forums and different things and families. And my own observation is that the young people are really socialized very early, but mostly in middle class urban areas. Are really socialized in the digital area. They have access to smartphones and computers and TVs and all sorts of media.
They're online.
They're really online. They have access to the internet and Wi-Fi and all that. So, I think I see media or social media and digital space and digital platforms as an accelerator for either good things or bad things. So depending, it's value neutral. But what we do on that platform is what really matters. So we can use it to do good or to do bad.
That one then implies that it calls upon the readers like you and me and others to use the same media to impact more of the same, rather than saying that because of social media, things are all bad.
The principles should apply across board. Because if you are talking about the basic principle that is at the core of what is called, I would call ethic, being ethical, being honest, being truthful, doing what is right. That is, if you're on a digital platform and you're being honest, doesn't change whether you are talking on one-to-one individual in a private space or you are doing it on a digital platform. It's the same.
There's a recommendation you mentioned maybe to remove the element of being unethical, and why you said something about how we identify ourselves on social media. Can you come on that?
Yes, recently I was interacting with a group of young university students, 150 of them or thereabout. And we were talking about that idea, that issue, that there are some people who have this idea that today there are very many haters and people who are saying nasty things, especially using social media platforms. And I do not think that there are more bad people today than there were before. It's just that now they have a platform, they have a place where they can share content, they have a place where that content can go to many people. But one of the things I noted was how can we be honest? How can we do the right thing on a social media platform? And I think one of the things that emerged as I was saying in that forum is when you look at many people that really say things that shouldn't happen, hateful speech and really posting very nasty content, they actually use pseudonyms. They don't use their names, meaning they have something to hide. If you have a person of integrity and you have nothing to hide, why don't you just use your name? So like one of the things I do on every social, whatever I am, I just use my name, my real name. So I am Joel Macharia, I post as Joel Macharia.
So you are Joel Macharia offline or Joel Macharia online?
Yes, because then if I have nothing to hide and if I'm not ashamed to be associated with the comments I make on social media, why should I use a pseudonym?
We are running out of time and the producer tells me that I have to kind of wind down. First of all, I want to thank you for being kind enough to show up on Elimu TV and share this content with us. But I'll also give you a chance maybe to do a parting shot, and also as a leader, as a person who is involved in mentorship, if you don't mind, you can share with us your number so that I can feel free to contact you. You've already said that you're Joel Macharia online, so they look for you. If they want to request to be Facebook friends, they will get you there. Please your closing remarks and your phone number if you don't mind.
All right. It was very good to be in this TV show, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And for those of you who are listening to me, I would say that, especially for adults, the choices that we make every day, there are many people, especially the younger ones, who look up to us. And let's really be deliberate in making choices that are really good, and that choices that we'll not be ashamed of. Thereby we model the right things. Let us be the change we want to see. There are many things I see in our society, and they are not good. They are not good things. There are things like not even taking care of our environment, like throwing litter out of our cars as we drive and things like that, jumping lights and things like that. We need to change these things by doing the right thing, and then the younger generation will actually model that. I keep hearing people saying that the young people of these days are not respectful and all that. If you want to see them respectful, then let's model respect. Let's model what we want to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, Joel, it was very nice having you on the show.
Thank you.
Viewer will take a look at this point. The key thing is we have agreed to be ethical. It is possible to be ethical in this 21st century, and we call it off at that particular point. And remember, imeamua kuwa ethical. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you.